Hi all, good morning. Welcome to AWS Reskill Learning Session. Today we are going to learn about AWS Workspaces. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Amal K. Abraham. I'm a VDI architect working for Accenture. I'm having 14 years of experience in IT industry, specialized in desktop and application virtualization. I'm an AWS certified solution architect associate as well as SysOps administrator associate. If you have any queries with this session, please reach out to me in Twitter or LinkedIn and I am always happy to answer your queries. With that, let us get started. So, what is AWS Workspaces? AWS Workspaces is a fully managed desktop as a service solution from Amazon. In simple terms, it is a persistent virtual desktop available to users which can be accessed from anywhere, any device in the globe. AWS Workspaces support both Windows and Linux VDIs. It have options to bring your own license. So, if you have a Windows 10 license or a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement license, you can actually bring over that and save cost for your AWS Workspaces. AWS Workspaces offer monthly and hourly billing options. It offers you a 99.9% SLA on your monthly service uptime. Before we drill deep into the AWS Workspaces, let me do a comparison between a traditional on-prem VDI and AWS Workspaces. In a traditional on-prem VDI environment, everything need to be managed by customer, starting from the physical data center, security, networking, storage, the VDI control plane, the hypervisor where your VMs reside, your VDI image, your backend directory services, the policies which you are applying to your on-prem VDI, everything need to be managed by customer. But in AWS Workspaces, you don't want to worry about any of these things. Only you need to manage your image, the AWS Workspaces image you are creating, the directory services where you are managing your users, and the policies which you are getting applied to the AWS Workspaces. What all are some of the use cases for AWS Workspaces? AWS Workspaces can be used for a variety of use cases, starting from uh, developers, mergers and acquisitions, disaster recovery, contractors and remote employees, and it can even offer secure work from home experience as well. Let us talk about one important use case which we all seen in our lifetime. COVID-19 pandemic. When COVID-19 pandemic hits us, when the world was sitting standstill, companies were struggling to make their users to work from a remote workforce. AWS Workspaces, along with the other VDI providers, played a vital job in securely providing a desktop experience to their employees. So, can AWS Workspaces be used for all use cases? Not fully. Let us talk about some of the use cases where AWS Workspaces will not be a right fit. For example, you have an application which require a physical USB key to be inserted into that application. AWS Workspaces cannot be used in such scenario. You have an application where you need to give multiple users access to a single workstation where there is a license tied to that particular server. You cannot provide that use case or AWS Workspace to that particular use case. So, yeah, whether AWS Workspace is fit for all use cases? No. However, AWS Workspaces can be used for a variety of use cases which we are seeing in our day-to-day life. What all are the prerequisites for deploying AWS Workspaces? The first and foremost thing is a directory service. Why we need directory service? The directory service is needed to authenticate the users to the AWS Workspaces. AWS Workspaces support Simple AD, AWS Managed Microsoft AD, and AD Connector. The second thing you need is you need a VPC where you need to host your AWS Workspaces. Then you need a Workspaces client application. It's basically it can be the client application or a web URL via which you will access your AWS Workspaces. Let us discuss about the Workspaces architecture. How AWS Workspaces works, right? AWS Workspaces supports two different protocols. It can work on PC over IP or it can work on AWS proprietary protocol called as WSP. So, before we drill deep into what all are the steps involved in the Workspaces architecture, let us basically take the example of YouTube. When you open a YouTube video, what is happening in your machine, right? The actual video is located somewhere in a server, and what you are seeing is a mirror image of that. So, technically, that video is getting streamed to your device over HTTPS protocol. You have a client application via which you are seeing the YouTube video. Similarly, workspaces do the same thing, right? So, a user who have a Workspaces client application installed in his machine enter his user ID and password and authenticate to the AWS environment. The traffic is getting passed over internet via HTTPS. It will hit the authentication slash session gateway. The gateway will forward that traffic to the directory service. Directory service in turn authenticate the user and confirm to gateway saying that okay, this user is uh, a real user, please give him his AWS workspace. Once he gets successfully authenticated over PC over IP protocol or WSP protocol, the user will get a session established via the streaming gateway. The streaming gateway will check the workspace's status, whether the workspaces is shut down, is it unavailable, or it is available. If it is stopped, workspaces will start that VM and it will give that VM to the user. It will stream that VM to the user. If it is already in the available state, it will be readily available to the user. Now, if you see in this diagram, you can basically see two different VPCs. One is AWS managed VPCs and one is the customer managed VPC. As we discussed earlier in the comparison slide, in AWS VPC, you have your VDI control plane, basically the session gateway as well as the streaming gateway. You don't want to manage them. What you need to manage is you need to manage your traffic coming from your workspaces to internet, the traffic coming from your workspaces to the business applications, right, or the on-prem environment. That is what you need to control. Every AWS workspaces has two NICs associated with that. One NIC will be an invisible NIC, and that NIC is managed and operated by AWS. That NIC is used for the session gateway and the streaming gateway traffic. The secondary NIC, whatever the NIC which we can see with our eyes, that particular NIC is used for the traffic purpose. Hope it's clear for everyone. With that, let us move ahead. So, workspaces offer a variety of VDI options from where user can pick up. So, these are some of the pre-configured workspace bundles available for the end user. You have option to select from a value which has very minimal compute power to a graphics pro which needed for a developer or a CAD person or a person who is working on machine learning who need to do some uh, extra compute power, right, with graphics card requirement. So all these different varieties of options are there for the end user to pick up. The other important thing for Amazon workspaces is Amazon Workspaces Application Manager, or WAM. What is WAM? So, how you deliver application to AWS, right? You can deliver your business applications via a streaming technology, and that is via the WAM catalog. So let us assume that you can basically have three different application sources. You have your applications which is available in the AWS marketplace. You have your line of business application. You have applications which you have some license restrictions. What you will do is you will basically publish all of those applications into the WAM catalog, and WAM catalog is a central location from where you will individually assign application to different users. For example, I need Microsoft Visio for just 20 days. So what the administrator will do is he will go to the WAM's catalog, he will publish Visio application only to my ID. So that application will be only visible to my ID, and only I can see that application. It will, you don't want to install that application in your workspaces, it will be streamed to your workspaces. Let us now see AWS Workspaces in action. Here I am in the AWS portal. You can search for Workspaces service. So I click on the Workspaces service, it will redirect me to the AWS Workspaces homepage. I am in the AWS Workspaces homepage, and before we drill deep down into the Workspaces options, let us basically click on the regions and see whether Workspace is supported in all the regions. You can see here Workspaces is not supported in all the regions, but it is supported in the core regions in every AWS region. For example, in East US, it is supported in Northern Virginia, and in West US, it is supported in Oregon. In India, it's supported in Mumbai, and then similarly, you have other regions as well, right? So I already have a workspace in Singapore. Let us do one thing. Let us basically go to any another region. I'm in the East US region. I don't have workspaces here, so obviously I need to do a get started. I have two options, quick start and advanced setup. Let us click on advanced setup. If you notice here, rather than taking me to the workspace service, it is taking me to the directory service. So what it means is directory service is a mandatory prerequisite for AWS Workspaces to work. The first thing you need to have is you need to have a directory service, then only you can configure your AWS Workspaces. So here I am in the Workspaces console. Let us try creating a new workspace. Before that, I will start the workspace because a normal workspace creation will take 20 minutes time. So I will click on launch workspace. It will ask me to select my directory. So I already configured my directory. Let me click on next. I need to select my users. So I can basically search for my users, else I can create them newly. So I will search for AWS, and I have one user created for this demo. I will add the user, click on next, and here you have a variety of bundles available for you to select. What is a bundle? An AWS Workspace bundle is nothing but it's a combination of your AWS image or operating system, the hardware specification, plus the protocol via which you are using the AWS Workspace. So just consider it as a template, right? A template normally contains your technical specifications, CPU, RAM details, and the master image associated with that. So that is basically a template. So I am going to select a Windows 10 standard template. So you basically observe here, even though it says Windows 10, in bracket it's saying that Windows 2016 based. What does it mean, right? So there is a Microsoft limitation that you will not be able to run Windows 10 in any other cloud provider if you are running in a shared cloud model. So if you want to run pure Windows 10 Enterprise as a workspaces application, what you need to do is you need to purchase dedicated host and then put your Windows 10 in that dedicated host. That's where your bring your own license also will come into picture. So for now, let me select a standard with Windows 10, Windows Server 2016 based. So what it happens is you are getting a Windows Server 2016 operating system, an RDP session on that or an RDS session on that, and with Windows 10 experience embedded into that. I have two volumes, root volume and user volume. Root volume is basically the operating system volume where your OS files reside. User volume is where your user profile resides. And you can basically increase the user volume if you want, to save more data as well. You click on next. You have two different running modes. As we discussed earlier, you can either select from an always on. So what is always on? So irrespective of whether you use it or not, you need to pay a monthly fees, right? So let us assume that you select a value bundle. You need to pay $35 for running that particular workspaces 24 by 7, basically for 730 hours per month. But if you select the auto stop option, what does auto stop option does, right? So you can basically configure auto stop. For example, if you forgot to shut down your AWS workspaces, after 1 hour, if your session is in inactive state, it will disconnect your workspace and it will basically stop the building clock. One caveat with auto stop is there are two kind of pricing for auto stop. One is you need to pay a fixed amount irrespective of whether you use it or not, plus your hourly billing. So let us assume I selected a value bundle. I need to pay for that fixed fee, which is basically like $7. Then I need to pay the hourly bill, which is basically like $1 or $2, right? So it will be basically like $7 plus $2 or whatever that hours which I use. Now, the other option is you can basically encrypt your volumes as part of the security so that your volume is encrypted, and you can select either customer managed key or AWS managed key. So I will select AWS managed key. I will add my tags to determine who owns this AWS workspace and for the billing purpose as well. I will click on next. And here, if I click on launch workspace, it will launch my AWS workspace. As I mentioned earlier, AWS workspace will take 20 minutes to launch. So I already pre-created a workspace for us to demo. So let me go to that workspace. So I have my workspace which is started and available. Let me access it, right? So as part of the prerequisite, we said it for accessing your AWS workspace, we need an AWS Workspaces client. So let us go to internet and type AWS Workspaces client application, which will redirect me to clients.awsamazonworkspaces.com. I'll click on that, and you can see that the website automatically detect my operating system as Windows, and it is asking me to download either 64-bit or 32-bit client. You can see a wide variety of client options available here. If you have an iPad, Mac OS, Chromebook, Linux machine, all those clients are available for you to access. You can even let us assume that you don't want to install the client, right? Your security will not allow you to install the client. You can access it from web. So you have web access available, which basically do an HTTP, HTML5 access. Now, if you basically see this portal, there is an option called as connection status check. Let us click on connection status check and see what it does. So, in a connection health check, you can basically see there are multiple regions. It basically said tick, and it will have a round trip time associated with each and every region, and it will basically do a speed rating. So let me just see what is best for me. Okay, so it is saying that because I am sitting in India, if I create an AWS workspace in Mumbai, that will be the faster one. And you can see the round trip time is 80, right? So what is a round trip time? Round trip time is basically like it's a keystroke, or it's basically a signal which you are sending from your laptop or from the device where you are accessing to the AWS Workspace's backend network, and it should come back. That is your round trip time in a VDI environment. Round trip time will always change. So if I basically do a refresh based on my internet speed, the round trip time may change. But what it gives you is it will give you a perception of whether your AWS workspaces will be slower or it will be faster, right? For example, if my AWS workspaces is deployed in US East, then it is actually going via 272 millisecond latency pipe, and obviously users will face latency when they basically do the keystrokes, when they basically when they type something, when they access something in the workspace, obviously there will be slowness. Now, I have already downloaded the AWS Workspaces client. The first thing you need to do is you need to basically enter the registration token. User will get the registration token and the username as an auto email from AWS Workspace when you provision it. So I already have the token. I will click on continue. It will take me to the login page where I need to enter my user ID and password. Here I am in the AWS Workspaces login page. I'll enter my user ID and password. Oops, that's the wrong password. It's launching my session. So I am here in my AWS Workspaces desktop, a secure desktop which is located in my AWS environment, which has connectivity to my on-premise environment, to my other cloud providers, and all the resources which is available in my corporate network. Here you can see the Amazon WAM. Amazon WAM, as we discussed, is used to publish line of business application. As of now, no application is published to me. We will publish an application and see how it works. Let us see the different options in the AWS Workspaces console. So if I click on AWS Workspaces tab, you basically have About Workspace, which talks about the version. You can disconnect and restart your AWS Workspace from here. In the View tab, you can basically send Control-Alt-Delete, and you can basically make your workspace in a full screen mode. In the Settings tab, you have a couple of options. You have the manage login information, basically to save your user ID password, right? Whether to save your registration token, to give a friendly name to your workspace, etc. You have manage proxy settings, so you can basically enable that, okay, your workspaces should work via a specific proxy address, or you can configure it to use the system default. You have hardware acceleration and display settings. So basically, like you can enable high DPI, you can enable hardware acceleration if you have graphics card, if you have a 4K monitor, etc. You can change your laptop. Sorry, you can change your language. Currently, it is set to English, but you can change your workspace's client language. You can change the running mode. Currently, I am in auto stop mode. I can basically convert this to always on. So you may think that, okay, if I enable this for users, will it impact the user or not, right? Because users can change, play around with this and create a more build for you. We can always customize it. We will see how we will customize this access to the users. Lastly, you can rebuild the workspace. So basically it will recreate your workspace. You have option to select your devices. So these are basically the redirected devices. If you want to connect a USB and then USB session need to be redirected to your workspace, you can basically do that. As of now, no USB devices is detected and connected. And we can configure policies to prevent that as well. We will basically see that in the later session. This icon is on your network round trip, so it will actually calculate your round trip. Currently, the round trip is bit high, 166 millisecond to my Singapore, maybe because of my internet slowness. Let us go back to my AWS Workspaces console. If I click on the workspaces and if I click on action, you can basically edit the user and change the user. You can invite the user again. For example, when you create a AWS workspace, it will send an automated email. Let us assume that user not received it. You can reinvite the user. You can reboot the workspace, start, stop the workspace, rebuild the workspace, remove the workspace. You can modify it to a different bundle, or you can change the root volume and user volume. You can migrate workspace. So migrate workspace is basically like if you have a DR region and if you enable cross-region replication, you can basically migrate the workspace from there. Another thing is you can create an image from it. So let us assume that you have a standard SOE image template where there is guidelines that you need to have X number of software security tools installed on your master image. So what you basically do is you will first create a workspace, you will install all your required software, then convert it into an image. Once you convert it into an image, it will basically come here in the images section. And these images will be used to create bundles. So you will use the custom image plus your specific settings like CPU, RAM, and the protocol, which will make it as a custom bundle. The other options available is IP access control. So you can basically restrict your access to AWS workspaces via configuring specific IPs. You can basically say that, okay, my workspaces need to be only accessed from 10.x network, right? Or my whatever your VPN network. You can basically configure those settings in your IP access control page. You can basically create the IP groups. You have account settings. Account settings is where it will basically uh, tell you whether you have a BYOL license applied and also whether you have enabled the cross-region replication. So cross-region replication is normally used for DR purpose. What will happen is in case of your workspace AWS region unavailable, automatically an FQDN will take your workspace to the secondary region. For this, you need to basically configure your directory service also to support the cross-region replication. What else we have? We will basically drill deep down into the application manager, but before that, let's click on directories and see what all configuration setting we can do to the workspaces from the directory level. Here I am in the directory console. I'll click on actions. Oh, sorry, I need to select my directory and click on actions and update details. It will give me a variety of options which I can customize for my workspaces. For example, I can put my workspaces in a particular OU or a domain. I can configure security group to prevent unwanted traffic to connect to my AWS workspaces. I can prevent the access to internet. By default, it will be enabled. You can disable it so that the traffic will go via the NAT gateway. You have access control options, which will allow you to restrict accessing the AWS workspace from only specific client. For example, in your organization, if you only have Windows client, then you can uncheck your Mac OS and Android so that it will not allow the workspaces to be accessed from those devices. You can block all, or you can basically allow it from trusted devices. If you select trusted devices, what it basically do is it will do a certificate check to make sure whether the device is trusted or not. You have local administrative settings which you can change. IP access control group. So basically whatever the IP access control you are configuring here, you can basically assign it to your workspaces. You have maintenance mode enabled. So what is this? The cool feature of this maintenance mode is, let us assume that you are not managing patching of workspaces via SCCM or your corporate patch management tool, right? If you enable this particular button, workspaces will automatically start, or AWS will automatically start your workspaces after when the patch got released by Microsoft, and it will automatically update the patch. It will shut it down the machine. That's the beauty of AWS Workspaces. The patch management is kind of automated in the console. You don't want to basically manage it. You have a variety of self-service permissions. So earlier we discussed about how can we restrict user from change the billing, right? You can basically change it from here. I already disabled some actions like change compute type, increase a volume size, but all these things can be customized for user so that when he check in his workspaces client, these all things will be visible or disabled for the user. Even though AWS Workspace doesn't support Microsoft Teams optimization, it will support Amazon Connect audio optimization. So if you are using Amazon Connect, what you can do is you can basically enable the audio traffic optimization. Now, the other part of it is the application manager. So in application manager, you have two kind of subscriptions. One is WAM Lite and one is WAM Standard. WAM Lite is basically free for everyone. It allows you to publish application from the AWS marketplace. However, if you select WAM Standard, you need to pay $5 for one user. What it allows you to do is you can basically publish your custom line of business application and assign it to custom users. So currently for this demo, I have enabled WAM Standard licensing. You can downgrade or upgrade as per your requirement. You have a usage tab where you can track the usage of your applications. Currently, my application is not assigned to anyone, so it is basically will give me that my application is underutilized or not utilized by anyone. Applications. Here, as we mentioned, we have two kind of application sources. One is your custom applications, one is the AWS Marketplace application. I will click on Add Application from AWS Marketplace. What it does is it will redirect me to the AWS Marketplace where there are 141 applications published to my published for AWS Workspaces to consume. There are some applications which are billed monthly. Some are basically free of cost. So you basically click on the application, click on continue, and you click on subscribe. What will happen is within couple of minutes it will be available in your AWS WAM console. The other option for end users is to publish custom applications. So you have a software called as WAM Studio. Via WAM Studio, you will package an application and you will publish it in the WAM catalog. Once your application is published, once your package is published, you can basically create an application from that package and you can assign it to users. So I am not going deep dive into how to package an application because it is a topic by its own. Let us see assigning an application to an end user. I select my directory. I'll search for the user. Next. I can select the version. whichever version I need to deploy, whether I need to make it as a mandatory application or an optional application. I am basically keeping it as an mandatory application, whether I need to enable the auto update or not. So I'll click on review and I will confirm and assign. So my application is now assigned to the user called as Amal. So we have assigned the application. I am in my workspaces desktop. I'll click on the AWS Swarm console. I can see the notepad is available for me. Click on open and it opened. The other important thing to do is how do I restrict some redirections, right? Or how do I create custom policies to prevent my workspaces to from intruders, right? Let me take an example. So if I open a notepad, I'm saying that this is a 1 second. This is a secure content. Should not be copied by anyone. Okay, and I am a bad user. I will copy this sensitive data to my local laptop and I will sell it. How can you prevent this copy paste or this clipboard redirection, right? How do I restrict my USB to USB redirection? How do I make sure that my time zone is local time zone, right? How do you do all those settings? So that's where you have an ADMX template published by Amazon. So if you go to see program files, TerraDC, PCORIP agent, configuration, policy definition, you have your PCORIP ADMX template which can be imported in your domain controller and you can configure group policies to restrict many settings for your end users. Other important thing in your AWS workspace is your AWS Workspaces monitoring. You can monitor AWS Workspaces using CloudWatch. You have a variety of metrics pre-configured by AWS. So if I click on all metrics and if I go to my workspaces, you can see that almost 33 metrics are available for me to configure. So if I click on the dashboard, I can basically see the different metrics which the AWS Workspaces is getting uh, captured by the CloudWatch monitoring. So you can basically see that it will show my availability, it will show the unhealthy workspaces, the session launch time, right? If I have any connection failures, it will basically show me. If I have any connection success, it will basically show me, right? So all those details you can basically get it and you can configure alerting also. Okay, so you can basically see that the session launch time uh, and it will even tell my connection success. It will tell me the session latency. So you can basically see that my session has 65 millisecond latency. It will tell the connected users. So no users connected. I connected once and then I connected again, right? Then I stopped it. So all these metrics can be viewed, and you can basically configure CloudWatch alarms for administrators to notify any abnormalities with your workspaces. With that, we came to an end of our session on Introduction to Workspaces. I hope this session is informative to you all. Thanks Reskill team for providing me this opportunity and thanks all for watching this video. Please do share your feedbacks, queries and comments via Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you again. Thanks a lot. Bye.